Growth has never been a gentle teacher. It often comes disguised as discomfort, loss, or even pain. Why Growth Requires Struggle is not a book about easy victories or effortless transformation. It is a journey into the heart of what it means to evolve. It teaches us that the very moments we try hardest to avoid are often the ones that shape us into our strongest, truest selves. The book begins with a simple yet powerful truth. Human beings grow not when life is easy, but when it tests them. It reminds us that just as muscles strengthen under resistance, the soul matures through adversity. Every challenge, every heartbreak, and every failure carries a hidden invitation to rise above what we were, and to become what we are meant to be. The author illustrates this through stories that mirror our own lives, people facing betrayal, rejection, loss, and failure, yet finding within those moments the seeds of transformation. There's a story of a young artist who, after being rejected countless times, begins to question her own worth. But instead of giving up, she uses the pain of rejection as fuel to refine her craft, to dig deeper into her emotions, and to create art that finally touches hearts. Her breakthrough wasn't born from comfort, but from her struggle to be seen, to be understood, to be real. In another example, the author tells of a man who lost everything: his business, his relationships, his sense of identity. For months, he fought against his circumstances, blaming fate and feeling cursed. But eventually, he stopped resisting and began to listen, to life, to silence, to himself. What he found was humility, compassion, and strength that no success had ever given him. Through his struggle, he didn't just rebuild his life, he rebuilt himself. The book's central idea is that struggle is not a punishment, it is a process. Just as a caterpillar must wrestle its way out of a cocoon to become a butterfly, we too must go through the pain of transformation. If someone were to help the caterpillar escape too soon, it would never develop the strength to fly. The same is true for us. The struggles we wish away are often the very ones giving us the wings to rise. The author speaks gently but firmly about our tendency to avoid pain. We live in a world that glorifies comfort, instant gratification, and quick results. But when everything comes easily, we miss the deeper lessons of patience, resilience, and faith. The book urges us to see discomfort not as an enemy but as a guide, a sign that we are growing beyond the limits of who we once were. There's a powerful passage about how trees grow stronger in wind. The author explains that when scientists tried to grow trees inside a perfect environment, a controlled biome where there was no wind, they grew tall, but eventually, they fell. The reason was simple: without the resistance of wind, the trees never developed the strength in their roots. In the same way, when life spares us from struggle, it also denies us the chance to grow roots that keep us grounded when storms come. Throughout the book, the tone remains deeply compassionate. The author acknowledges that pain hurts, that struggle can feel unbearable at times. But within that acknowledgement lies the promise of meaning. We are reminded that pain, when faced with awareness, becomes our greatest teacher. It burns away what is false, and reveals what is real. Struggle strips us of illusion, it shows us who we are when there is nothing left to hide behind. One of the most touching sections speaks about the human tendency to compare our journey to others. We look at people who seem to be thriving, and we wonder why our path feels so hard. But the book gently reminds us that every soul has its own curriculum of growth. What we call struggle might be exactly what our spirit needs to awaken its strength. There is no wasted suffering if we choose to learn from it. In a particularly moving moment, the author describes a mother watching her son learn to walk. Each fall breaks her heart, yet she knows she cannot lift him every time. He must fall to find balance. He must struggle to find his strength. That, the book says, is how the universe loves us, not by protecting us from every fall, but by allowing us to discover that we can rise after each one. The book also explores how struggle refines character. When life is easy, it's simple to be kind, patient, and calm. But it's in the moments of frustration and loss that our true values are tested. The person who remains compassionate under pressure, the one who stays hopeful in despair, that person has grown beyond mere knowledge into wisdom. Real growth is not about achieving more, it's about becoming more conscious, more grounded, more alive. At its core, Why Growth Requires Struggle teaches us to surrender, not in defeat, but in trust. When we stop fighting against reality, we begin to align with it. Growth, then, becomes a partnership between our will and life's mysterious wisdom. We may not always understand why certain things happen, but we can always choose how we respond. Every moment of pain can become a doorway to greater awareness if we walk through it consciously. The author also invites us to look back at our own lives, to the moments that once broke us, and to see how they shaped us. The heartbreak that taught us empathy. The failure that built our resilience. The loss that made us appreciate life's preciousness. When we see struggle through this lens, it no longer feels like punishment, it feels like preparation. Life is not trying to destroy us, it's trying to sculpt us into who we were meant to be. The final chapters of the book bring all these lessons together in a single, resonant truth. There is no growth without struggle, but there is also no struggle without purpose. Every hardship carries within it a hidden blessing. It is in our darkest nights that we learn to see the light within ourselves. It is in our loneliest moments that we discover our own company. And it is through the breaking that we learn how unbreakable we truly are. The book closes with a quiet, hopeful reflection, that struggle is not something to be feared or resented. It is the rhythm of life itself, the pulse of evolution. Just as winter prepares the earth for spring, our difficult seasons prepare us for new beginnings. Growth is never easy, but it is always worth it. And when we finally emerge from our storms, we realize something extraordinary, that the very struggle we once cursed was the very thing that gave us strength, clarity, and grace. Why growth requires struggle, leaves you with a sense of peace. It does not promise a life without pain, but it gives you the wisdom to see pain differently. It whispers that your scars are not signs of weakness, they are symbols of survival. Your struggles are not setbacks, they are sacred invitations to awaken, to deepen, to become. So, when life tests you, when everything seems uncertain and heavy, remember this: you are not being punished, you are being prepared. Every challenge is a mirror, reflecting back the parts of you that are ready to evolve. Growth does not come to the comfortable, it comes to those willing to face discomfort with courage and faith. Struggle, then, is not the enemy of growth, it is the path to it.